And I can chop this texture up and reuse a lot of it. So the teeth are going to need to be redone from the XCon character because this is how they are on the XCon. And then, but I'll be able to take the I'll be able to take the I'll be able to take the genes. So let me show you that. And I know I'm not painting from scratch here, but this is honestly this is actually how a lot of work gets done is just repurposing stuff. Hope y'all don't mind. So usually what I do when I am creating one of these from scratch though is I'll lay down my base colors and that actually solves a lot of detail. Um, okay, so you can see here how this is constructed. I laid down base colors. So I put down a blue and then I put on, so I got a brush that looks like denim and I kind of patched it down, stamped it down a bunch of times, with a lighter color and then maybe with a little bit of a darker color. So that creates sort of a denim pattern. It's a little, obviously the denim fibers wouldn't be that big, but to give the impression of denim at a much bigger scale, I mean, of course, this is where, again, you have to stop yourself as an artist sometimes because, I will paint detail on this guy all day. But at this is why I make sure I have my game point of view camera together. I will paint detail all day, but I need that sort of cold bucket of water poured over me that says the player's never going to see that. So that's really helpful. Where the exception to the rule is obviously is anything that you're going to see up very close. So if I go to my characters again, and I look at redneck, portraits, and this is a good one. So if I look at my portrait, obviously, oh, you can see his eye. Obviously, like this is up close, so I need this stuff to be very nicely detailed. But other than that, it's pretty. I can get away with not worrying about like denim on the jeans because again, if I know that I need detail up here on the face, then I can see I can focus my attention there for drawing. But I know that there might be other places where maybe I don't. I can get away with some things. So what I'm gonna do is we don't have a ton of time left, but so I take this and you can see a lot of how this is flexed is different. So I'm going to use some of these other tools that are present in Photoshop, like distort, and can actually stretch out things to where I need them. And then if any other bits are absolutely missing, like in the crotch area here, let me turn some of this all off. Okay. So you see, that didn't quite work 100%, but again, remember we're repurposing a lot of stuff. So we can get around it by using our clone stamp tool. So if I do Alt. So what's important here is that when I'm doing this, there's no. The other thing that I tend to do is I tend to not use, like, I'll make the shading on a thing a separate layer. And the reason for that is that I want, um, if I have to go and change base colors, I can get away with it and not, I can do that all I want and not have to worry about ruining. I'm going to cut this off. I don't have to worry about ruining. Like if I need to change the base color, I don't need to worry about ruining the shadows and vice versa. And that's the benefit of having your shading as a different layer. As you can see, all these things have lots and lots of layers just for a simple color map. But having things on different layers allows you, and this is what Photoshop was made for. It was made to have layers. Um, ogres have layers, Photoshop documents have layers. But so that's a really usable feature. That I recommend making the most out of is being able to use your layers when you're color mapping or when you're painting color maps, so that you can, if you need to change details, you can do so without really infringing on other stuff. All right, so I'm going to put the pants down, and again, I'm going to T distort. So for those unfamiliar with Photoshop's transform tools, Control T activates free transform, which allows you to do things like um, change the size of things and stuff like that. Um, but if you right click while you have that mode activated, you can choose from scale, which is the standard option, rotate, which is actually folded into the regular free transform. Then there's skew, which is you can make things lean certain ways. Distort, which is what I'm doing now, which is you can stretch things. And then perspective, which allows you to move it inside, like it'll transform in such a way that implies that it has different perspective. Um, it makes it sound like I just said it evolved, like it you know evolved as a person. Um, like it goes into perspective mode. And then warp is a whole other thing. It's this sort of like, it gives you this matrix, and you can change the matrix and warp. I mean, I hate using the definition or the word in the definition, but it lets you warp the thing and make it sort of, like you can make it bubble out, or you can make it pinch, or do all these weird effects. But it's actually really useful. So again, I'm going to paint in here. I don't really have a whole lot of detail implied, so I can do quite a bit, but the only exception being, I put some detail into the butt, just to acknowledge anatomy. Don't go crazy. Don't make it all like Dead or Alive beach volleyball when you create characters, but anatomy happens too. So now, I mean, you can see why this takes hours. So what I'm doing, the reason I keep looking back and forth between the front and the back is because I want to make sure that my details are lined up, because I'm cutting the jeans out. So then if I reactivate the shading here, and if I start to work on that layer, I can do a lot of the same stuff. And likewise, distort where I need to. So I may need to distort, I may need to, let's see. May need to stretch some of this. Where was that? The color. The heck? Oh, looks like I lost it. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, that actually lines up pretty well. I'm going to want to stretch this across. And then same thing here. Stretch it across a little bit. So later on, I mean, truth be told, I may go and, because like you see, the knee is not quite where it should be. Yeah, that kind of sucks. So we're gonna fudge. All right. So let's see what this turns into. Save as celebrity. We're going to save as celebrity color map. And then save as a PNG. And then, so obviously this is going to look insane, but not in the good way. It's going to look like weird, but texture. Load this. Okay, but so minus this little detail where something is where it shouldn't be. Okay, so like you see the back of the pants. Those are the back of the pants. Oh, darn. All right. It's supposed to be the front of the pants. So this is where, well, I just move it. Okay. That's cool. But yeah, that's matched up pretty well. It's the wrong side of the pants, but you know, we can fix that in Photoshop. So yeah, that's, you know, kind of that's the process. Then you go and you paint all this other stuff. Again, you can see the sort of thing that I'm trying to accomplish with the arm sort of here. It's kind of lined up, not quite perfectly. But yeah, that's more or less it. If there are no other questions, I think this is a good stopping point. Any questions? Cool. So if you guys like, I can do more of these. You know, like I said, there are a lot of spaces, I think, where having yes. So Rock just asked, does it matter if you use a T-pose? Yes. The reason why it matters is when you so when you're doing a human character, a T-pose is great because well, this is an A pose, but so a T-pose is when, like, if I'm going to extrude a thing out of another thing, it's easier to extrude this way than it is into a pose, because it's just better to do that. The reason that I have this guy in an A pose is because once I modeled him in the T pose, I then I rotated the arms down into the A pose, because that makes it better for animation because it's more relaxed. So when you rig and animate things, it'll be more robotic if you're animating out of a T pose than if you're animating out of an A pose. But you never want to model in the A pose, because then you're having to extrude at this angle, and that's just awkward. So model at T and then shift the geometry where it should be, and then rig at A. But yes, it does matter.